Keir Starmer has just made a political move that has sent shockwaves through Britain, hosting a UK-EU summit on British soil. The moment this news broke, the public was instantly divided. Brexit supporters were outraged, accusing Starmer of betraying the historic 2016 decision, while moderates argued that this was an inevitable step to repair the economic damage. But what is really happening here? Is Britain slowly being pulled back into Brussels' orbit? Is this a strategic recalibration or a blatant reversal of the millions of votes that took the UK out of the EU? But first, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and join our rapidly expanding community. Less than a year ago, the Labour Party secured a landslide victory with a promise to make Brexit work. No return to the EU, no rejoining the single market or the customs union. Yet now, a high-profile summit has been scheduled for May, featuring top EU officials, while the UK government quietly negotiates trade, security, and even cross-border labour agreements. According to sources, the EU is pushing for a deal allowing under-30s to move freely between Britain and Europe, reminiscent of pre-Brexit days. Recent data shows that the UK economy has yet to fully recover from Brexit. GDP growth is only 0.6% compared to the EU's 1.1% over the same period. Small businesses are struggling with new trade barriers, while the financial services sector has lost a crucial part of its market. Starmer's government claims it is taking a pragmatic approach to ease Brexit-related difficulties. But is this pragmatism or surrender? It's not just politicians raising concerns. Public sentiment is boiling over. An Ipsos poll found that 47% of Britons want closer ties with the EU, while 21% favour stronger relations with the US and 15% with the Commonwealth. The division in public opinion is sharper than ever, and Starmer's decision may mark one of the most defining moments in Brexit history. So what does this mean for Britain? Are we witnessing a sensible adjustment, or is this a dangerous step backward? Let's dive deeper into the analysis to uncover the truth behind this political storm. Let's be clear. There's no denying that Starmer's government is gradually pulling the UK back towards the EU in a subtle yet deliberate manner. They may not be openly advocating rejoining the single market or the customs union, but every move they make suggests otherwise. If Brexit was about reclaiming control, then isn't this move doing the exact opposite? Look at the facts. Starmer's government is pushing ahead with a UK-EU summit. And in these negotiations, they have already agreed to explore an industrial collaboration deal. If this goes ahead, the UK will lose flexibility in securing independent trade agreements with major economies like the US and emerging markets. Nigel Farage has warned, "You can be friendly with the EU, but you cannot allow them to dictate your economic policies." And I completely agree. The backlash to this has been intense. In fiery online debates, one comment stood out: "Starmer is selling out this country. If he wants to take us back into the EU, why not have another referendum?" Another sarcastically pointed out, "We left the EU to regain sovereignty, yet our Prime Minister now rushes to Brussels for approval on every major policy." These sentiments are not outliers. They reflect widespread frustration. Another crucial point we must acknowledge is that while the UK economy has not yet fully recovered from Brexit, does that mean we should rush back under EU control? Lower GDP growth than the EU is not an automatic sign that Brexit has failed. It depends on how each government manages its economy. Starmer had an opportunity to make Brexit work, yet he seems to be taking the easy route, reintegrating with the EU through the back door. What also alarms me is the issue of labour and immigration. The EU wants a youth mobility scheme for under-30s. How is this any different from reinstating free movement? One of the core reasons people voted to leave was to take back control of our borders, yet now Starmer is negotiating to reverse that. Do we genuinely need this? Or is it just another ploy for Brussels to regain influence over Britain? And let's not forget the defence implications. While Starmer's government claims closer security ties with the EU are necessary, some argue this could compromise the UK's military independence. One comment on social media said, "If we're not careful, one day our troops will take orders from Brussels instead of London." It may sound extreme, but is it entirely out of the question? So we must ask, if Brexit was meant to give Britain a fresh start, why do we need annual summits with the EU? If we truly left, why is Starmer so eager to re-establish deep ties? These are fair questions, and the government owes the public honest answers. Starmer's approach is also fundamentally hypocritical. His government insists that they are merely resetting relations, yet their actions are eerily similar to what a slow reintegration would look like. If they are so confident in their approach, why not be transparent about the end goal? Why not seek public consensus before making these backdoor deals? Trust in government is already fragile, and if this continues, Labour may find itself facing serious political consequences in the years ahead. Moreover, while Labour insists they are committed to keeping the UK outside of the EU, we have seen this kind of slow, creeping shift before in politics. Small concessions today can lead to major structural changes tomorrow. If people don't push back now, it could be too late to stop Britain from being absorbed into EU influence once again. The lack of clear red lines in these negotiations is alarming and should concern anyone who values national sovereignty. If Britain is to remain sovereign, then it must act like a sovereign nation, strengthening trade relations with global partners, ensuring flexible economic policies, and most importantly, upholding the democratic will of the people should be the priority, not bowing to Brussels at the first opportunity. This is the time to reaffirm Britain's independence, not surrender it piece by piece. We stand at a critical crossroads. If Starmer's government genuinely wants to make Brexit work, they must be clear and honest about their intentions. They cannot claim to respect Brexit while simultaneously implementing policies that make Britain increasingly dependent on the EU. If they want to change direction, they owe it to the British people to hold a referendum rather than making decisions behind closed doors. And let's not forget, the public chose Brexit in 2016, and that choice must be respected. If Starmer believes Britain needs closer ties with the EU, he should have the courage to put it to the people rather than manipulating policy under the guise of resetting relations. Democracy means honouring the will of the people, not bending the rules to fit a political agenda. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe Starmer is betraying Brexit? Or do you think this is a necessary move to stabilise the economy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know what you think about this government's direction. If you agree that Britain must remain independent and not fall back under EU influence, hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with the latest political analyses affecting our country. We cannot let politicians make these decisions unchecked. Our voices matter. Let's make them heard.